So I've got it as 7:02. Welcome to the October 28th, 2025 meeting of the Wakefield Planning Board. First order of business is to take attendance. So Theo Null.
Here.
Bill Spalding. Here. Kristen Weekly. So I'll know. Oh, thank you. And myself, Jim Hogan. So we're missing Kevin, but everyone else is in attendance. Next order of business is approval of the meeting minutes from our October 14th, 2025 meeting. Do any members of the planning board have any comments related to those meeting minutes? In that case, do I hear a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
So motion by Bill, seconded by Kristen to accept the meeting minutes. Theo?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And myself, yes, as well. Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to item number 3, zoning bylaw recodification. So this is a second half of the public hearing associated with the bylaw recodification that has been the subject of ongoing efforts by the bylaw review committee. As a reminder for those who are either calling in or watching after the fact, no bylaw zoning is going to be updated tonight. The purposes of this presentation is for the bylaw review committee to inform the planning board as to their efforts, inform the public, take any comments or questions from the public on it, and then I anticipate that the planning board will likely take a motion whether or not to recommend or for the town meeting to either approve or not approve the bylaw recodification bylaw amendment that's going to be set forth. So ultimately, this will be a decision that will be made at the floor of town meeting, and we are here merely to distribute the information, educate the public, and then the planning board likely will take a motion at some point to either recommend or not recommend. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Chair Lieber, who's been heading the bylaw review committee and has been instrumental in getting this bylaw recodification to where it needs to be.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated, Chair Hogan. So Dan Lieber, Chair of the Bylaw Review Committee. Over the past 3 years, we've been working feverishly and with a lot of dedication and with input from the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, Town Council, Planning, the Building Department, Police Department, and others to try and update the zoning for the town. And it's really relatively minor updates from a language perspective. It's to make it so that it's much easier to understand, easier to find information, not substantially change the character of the town. As was mentioned at the last hearing, and for those who may be attending this for the first time, there are no changes to dimensional regulations. There are no changes to the maps themselves. This is a series of language changes and to expand the clear intent of the voters that has been expressed in the past. There are some minor things that should be very positively received, such as the ability to really do creative development with approval of the relevant town bodies, things that would really allow for the town to move forward in ways that allows for oversight as well as improves things. Since the last meeting, there's been a very minor update published, and that was sent by Attorney Bobrowski. I forwarded it off to the planning board. It was just Scribner's updates, some minor typos and capitalization, things along those lines that were updated. The final motion for town meeting we're waiting for will be written by Attorney Bobrowski and Attorney Mullen. But at this point, the essence of it is to take the existing chapter 190 and remove all of the current sections and replace them with the new sections that has the updated wording. But again, there's no changes to the maps, there's no changes to the table of dimensional regulations, things that are really of particular importance. And we're not actually changing who's responsible for the core elements of land use. We are clarifying it so that, and in some cases, the petitioner has the ability to choose which board they can go before, as they do today. So it really is taking things, making it into a Wakefield specific version that is more consistent with how the rest of the state does things. Attorney Bobrowski, anything you'd like to add at this point?
Just a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Good evening, and members of the planning board, same. Thanks to Eric Reed for sending me a bunch of Scrivener's errors, which I've now sent off to Chairman Lieber, and he has that for transmittal to the clerk's office, or certainly to Mr. Mullen. I think the main improvements here, and no thanks to the state for trying to outpace us, is the housing bills passed by both Governor Baker and by Governor Healy. We had a lot of catching up to do on things like accessory dwelling units, new merger or anti-merger provisions for the construction of single-family homes. We've tried to capture all of that new material and make sure it has a home in the recodified bylaw. And then, as always, case law changes things, so we've kept a watchful eye on that. In the course of preparing my book supplement, I do that anyway, and I give a presentation every year to MCLE, so that has nicely transitioned over to updates to your bylaw where necessary. That's about all I can say in terms of summary. We did add some interesting new items to the use table, such as breweries, which just are a sign of the times.
So, any member of the planning board have any comments, concerns, or questions they would like to bring up at this time?
Just to say, just to be really grateful and complimentary to everyone in the bylaw review committee, including Chair Lieber and Attorney Bombrowski. All of your technical assistance has really been so helpful and so appreciated, and I think really informative for me on the planning board, and certainly to consolidate and really update the zoning bylaw. I'm grateful for all the conversations we've had, the 11 plus revisions, and knowing that that's been a really useful iterative process to be able to review the document, but also from your process to really be able to update it. Yeah, I think through all of our discussions, we really have appreciated the edits to the use table, and I think a lot more of the clarity that's been provided. Is there, how do we accommodate future changes to the bylaw?
Well, I have created an expandable chapter format, so please don't put them at the end, because there are no homes for anything that you might think of. For example, new special districts would be additions to Chapter 9. If you're passing more in the way of special regulations, for example, wireless or earth removal, those are all, they've all found a home in Chapter 7. Definitions will be added to Chapter 11. General regulations like parking, loading, signage all fit into Chapter 6. So it would be simply a matter of finding a place that's most appropriate and adding it. The number system is infinitely expandable. If you have any conversation you'd like to have with me about where I'd put it, just call. I'm here. But I think it's a lot better than taking the newest thing and adding it at the back of the book. I see that too often.
Yeah, we won't let your good organization go to waste.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm grateful that we're able to add ADUs and that y'all have been able to keep up with the state. So thank you.
Anyone else from the board? With that being said, I will open up to public comment or question. As a reminder, if you so elect, raise your hand via the Zoom function, turn your camera on if you have the ability to, and please state your name and your address before starting to give public comment. So anyone who wishes to provide public comment, please raise your hand at this time. So I don't see anyone. So for, last call before I ask for input on the board as it relates to next steps for whether or not we should take an action on this. Theo, did you have something you can say?
Just for clarity, it's version number 11 with the Scribner's notes that were delivered to the planning board last meeting, right?
Yeah, the scrivener's notes are dated 10/20/25.
Okay.
So in that case, does any member of the board wish to make a motion regarding this board's recommendation to either approve or not approve of the recodification text for town meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I would gladly make that motion that we approve the text of the recodification for town meeting. Do I, including the Scribner's corrections dated 10/20/25.
I'll second that.
So the motion on the floor is to make a recommendation to town meeting to approve the recodification text from dated 10/20. Sorry, Mr. Spalding,
I think we recommend favorable action.
recommend
Just
favorable action.
terminology.
Theo, do you accept that friendly amendment?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, so just state it just so we're all on the same page. My understanding is the motion in front of the board is to recommend to town meeting to take favorable action regarding the zoning bylaw recodification based on the zoning text dated 10/20/2025. And I've got motion by Theo and seconded by Kristen. So in that case, roll call vote. Bill Spalding,
Yes.
Kristen Weekly,
Yes.
Theo no,
Yes.
and myself yes. Motion passes. So we will make a recommendation for favorable action at town meeting. And I want to take this moment to say thank you to Mr. Dombrowski and to Mr. Chairperson Lieber and for all the hard work you guys have. And hopefully you'll have a successful outcome at town meeting.
Thank you very much. Much appreciate all of the input from the planning board and the recommendation for favorable action at town meeting, and we will see you in about a week and a half.
It's been my pleasure to be of assistance. Let me just, for the record, state that the bylaw, as I'm looking at it right now, is still dated draft 11, September 22nd, 2025, but the file name says corrected 10/20/25. So there's a difference between the first actual page of the recodified bylaw and the file name in Word.
And that
I can
and
easily,
the-
I
and
can
the
easily
update- the
change
update-
this and resend it if
The
if
updates were
that's-
sent over to the town, to the relevant people in the town. So that would be the town administrator who manages the website for us, the planning board, and others as to how they are managing the public facing pages. That's really more in the town administrator's domain.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're all operating with the right document, but it is the file name that I have added the corrected date of 10/20/25.
Could you email that to me?
Sure,
Would you mind, just so I have it too?
I'll do it right now.
Thank you so much.
And much thanks to Attorney McGrail for his input in this process, because that's also been vital to making sure that we respect the Wakefield specific items. So again, that much thanks to
Thank
the
you.
planning board and the public for all the input.
Yep. Okay, well, in that case, unless there's anything else, I'd like to close item number 3 for the zoning bylaw recodification and move on to the public hearing we have scheduled for 154, 158 Salem Street. Okay, in that case, thank you again for Dan Labor and Mark Bobrowski, and good luck at town meeting.
Thank you.
That being said, move on to item number 4 on the agenda, 154, 158 Salem Street subdivision. So I will turn this over to Attorney McGrail.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Attorney Brian McGrail representing the applicants. Nick Leo is with me tonight, as is Rich Williams, our site civil engineer from Williams and Sparagus. We submitted updated plans to your board last week. We've had a couple of meetings with the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I think we're nearing an end with them, which I hope we are with you as well, and the Conservation Commission. You received, I believe, yesterday a memo from the town engineer who has reviewed this thoroughly, and he is satisfied with all of his analysis. He states comments addressed in all matters. And I would like to highlight some things, if I may, that were of interest to the board, and just, some basic changes. Even if they don't affect the planning board directly, they might be on lot 3, but just to kind of share those with you and highlight a couple of things. And then I'll get into the town engineer's memo a little bit, and also a couple of other matters, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good game plan.
Great. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna, I think the best way to go about this is to deal with the landscaping plan. If I could share my screen. Just says sharing is not turned on.
Bear with me for a second.
problem.
Do you want to, while you start to it, do you need that, or do you, I think it's going to take me a couple of seconds to get this. I just realized that.
That's okay. I can wait a minute.
Okay. Okay, try it again.
Worked.
There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, what we did in the back of these buildings, I just want to show the board. There's a sewer easement. The town has a sewer easement going through the back of our property. The town engineer did not want us to encroach on it with our patios. So we've trimmed them to shape them, and work with the zoning board on that. We also were able to put our condensers back here for air conditioning. It's privacy screening back here, so it really worked out well. The other thing that's happened is our neighbors have asked us to take a pipe that was going to discharge further up, and Rich has moved that down further down on our property, which was a request of our neighbors at Nablus Way. And then we also have gone through the landscaping plan in detail with the zoning board. They asked us to up our sizes on some of the plantings. And we have some very detailed walls, and we're putting plantings down here, hydrangeas, which we're proposing now. And I'll show you how these walls and fences are going to lay out on the next sheet when I get a chance. Of importance to the planning board, there's been a discussion on streetlights, on what we're going to do here, and that was kind of an open item. And so what we're planning on doing, they're marked out here. on the subdivision. You see the starburst. So that will be one street light, and then you come down and there's another one here. Right here. And then you come further down on the cul-de-sac. And there's another one here. Okay, sorry about the dogs. And then we're matching, and then there's another one over here. So we've got 4 on the street. And then what we're doing is we're matching those going into the attached dwelling complex. So we've got one here and one here. And I want to show you the styling of this because it's important, because when my client initially went to the Wakefield Municipal Light, Gas and Light Department, no fault of theirs, but they said, hey, we've got our basic street light, which is, the pole with the half moon hangs out on the street, and it's kind of blue light, and Nick Leo did not want that for this project. He didn't think it would be tasteful for the project or the neighborhood. So he really did some due diligence working with the Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light Department on what would be acceptable to them. And I'm going to share that with you if I go back to a different sheet. So what we're proposing is this street light, which is really tasteful. It's only it will have a warm light, and it's only 13 feet tall. Zoning board loved it. And to Nick's credit, they cost about $5,000 to $6,000 each, and he's going to pay for them instead of just taking the thing that would be free, because I think this will be really appropriate for the project as a whole. So I wanted to point that out, and then we've got details on our wall. This will be the wall that's in front of the attached dwelling complex with the name of that development at the end, and a nice fence. And then on the wall that faces, that will be on Nablus Way, we're going to match that fence, which will look really nice. So what I'm going to do, just if I can, Mr. Chair, I'm going to share. I think it might be helpful for the board just to get a, even though the architecturals are not per se relevant, I just would like to really give the planning board an idea of how this is going to look at the end of the day. So this is the townhouse. Again, you already saw the landscape plan, which I went through, and I'm not going to bore you with the floor plans, but I just would like to show you some of the elevations or renderings, I should say. So this is on the cul-de-sac as you would come down the driveway. And one of the things that we added, I think it was discussed with the planning board, and I think it might have been discussed with you also. We have a sidewalk now going into the project that will come out and match and meet the sidewalk on the cul-de-sac for people that live in here. And this is in the development, so you're looking out. These people here are walking on the sidewalk from the cul-de-sac, and you can see the street lights in the back. And this is way in on the project. So you would come down the driveway and go all the way to the left, and now you're looking back out of the development. This is the backs, as we've said, we've added landscaping, and we've reshaped the patios for the folks out back, and we've put some privacy screening for them so they have nice patios for themselves looking out into the woods and the wetland out back. And this gives you kind of a nice overall shot from above. So obviously the cul-de-sac, driveway coming in, here's how the street lights work together. They all blend in. This is the wall that we talked about that has the fence that matches here. And then it's just kind of an overall shot from above. So I just want to kind of give you some perspective on that. I think you deserve that, instead of just looking at things, in the abstract on a flat plan, how this will all tie together. As I mentioned, we have some infrastructure changes that were requested by the town engineer that were in his memo. We've made some changes to the site plan that have been requested of our neighbors on Nablus Way. I would like to go through, if I can, Mr. Chair, with the town engineer's memo, if that's okay.
Yep,
Just
I think
that
that
kind
would
of-
be appropriate next step.
To just kind of tell you the points that he hit on, I could. Let me just find that. Go. So he's done a memo to the zoning board, which is similar to this, but as he states, this just references the plans, and then he talks about how the project has been undergoing concurrent permitting by the planning board, the zoning board, and the conservation commission. He's issued separate memos to each of those bodies. I don't think he's issued a new one to the conservation yet. I haven't seen that, but he probably will. This document consolidates all the relevant comments of those individual members across all boards into a single unified memo. So the first comment was lot designations as assigned in the assessor's office should be renamed on the plan is prior to the endorsement of the Mylar, which is standard. We would just update that for the Mylar before that gets endorsed by the planning board. Number 2, recommended condition of approval would be that lots 1, 2, and 4 would be served by municipal trash and recycle pickup. When the subdivision is completed, the new owners can receive their barrels, etc. And what he does say is that the DPW&B will not provide refuse or recycling pickup for the units on lot 3, which we understand. Then number 3, all recommended condition of approval, all construction supply with subdivision rules and regulations and DPW standards. Well, that's obviously except for the waivers that we're requesting of the board. Number 4, recommended condition of approval prior to commencing construction, the applicant's contractor has to file a right-of-way permit with the engineering department, and that's just standard and pay for sewer connection fees. 5 was a comment, the current utility layout presents significant maintenance challenges, does not meet the required standards for future servicing, is essential to redesign the layout to ensure sufficient separation between the utilities, facilitating easier access and maintenance. The applicant's engineer should reach out to the engineering department to discuss. Applicant's response, agreed, the water service has been redesigned for easier access, and the town engineer responded that this comment has now been addressed on the plans. Right-of-way comments, traffic of the 2024 Traffic Advisory Committee meeting, it was noted that the traffic data was collected prior to road being repaved and therefore doesn't actually represent current traffic. The board requested that new traffic data be collected, and that was done with TAC and submitted and reviewed with them at one of their meetings, and so that comment has been addressed. Water comments, plan set shows water main being tied into the water main with tapping sleeve. However, the water main tie in was already completed and stubbed off behind the sidewalk for a later connection. Update the plans to show the water main stub and associated gate valves. That's been updated on the plan, so the town engineer is saying comment addressed. Then he's recommending a condition of approval. No second water service or meter dedicated to outside irrigation will be allowed for any dwelling unit in the development, which we're all well aware of in town. Number 3, the applicant shall conduct a hydrant flow test to verify local water system ability to meet the water supply. That comment has been addressed. Number 4, all joints and restraints on the water system components shall be mechanically restrained joints. Concrete thrust bursting is not to be used unless required in the field by DPW inspection personnel. That's been changed on the plan, so the comment has been addressed. Sewer comments. This just deals with a recommended condition for an I&I contribution, $450 per bedroom, which is standard. Another recommendation of condition of approval, in no case shall stormwater, groundwater, or sump pumps discharge into the sewer, which again is standard, and we're fine with that as a condition. 3, provide sewer connection service detail with town standards. Rich Williams did that on the plans that you've now received, so that comment is addressed. This is important. The proposed sewer connection for unit 5 through 8, those are the 4 out back in the attached dwelling complex. They tie into that sewer easement that I referenced, with which the patios were removed for. And the engineering the division was concerned that the 4 new service tie-ins might compromise the structural integrity of that pipe because it's an old pipe. So during discussions with the applicants, that being the town engineering department, expressed a preference for replacing that clay pipe with a PVC, and we were amenable to do that. So our response was the pipe has been annotated on sheets 5, 6, and 7 with a note existing clay pipe to be replaced with PVC. So the comment has been addressed. So that's a huge infrastructure improvement for the town. That's a massive pipe that benefits a big part of town. So we're going to put in a brand new pipe before we connect. Drainage comments. The proposed infiltration system, SWMA2P, appears to have a small portion within 50 feet of the wetlands. Infiltration systems must have a minimum of 50 foot from surface waters. So basically our response was we relocated it to be greater than 50 feet from the wetland area. So that comment has been addressed.
I had a question related to there was a conversation or a back and forth, it looks like, between the project and Tim Wilson on SWMA4P, which is located kind of all the way in the back of the site.
This one right here?
Uh,
Right here.
well, yes, but if you
Yeah.
go back to the comment you were just on.
Okay, let me go back. Sorry about that. Right
So I
here?
think that this one where it says that the pond 2 and pond 3 have been relocated to greater 50, maybe more than 50 feet. But there was basically an agreement that pond 4 was going to be removed from the calculations, but would remain. And when I look at the plans, it looks like it's like very close to being within the 50-foot buffer. And so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, is it in fact in the 50-foot buffer? Is it within the limit of work lines? Like, how is that going to actually be executed from a
And
construction perspective?
I could answer that question pretty quickly. Rich Williams and Sparagus. That pond is within the 50 feet, but it will be lined so it doesn't have an infiltration component, which is the part that they want outside the 50. So it provides a detention function, but not an infiltration function.
So is that okay? Because it's within the line that's shown on the plan is a 25-foot buffer,
Correct.
and that's the one that it's basically going right up to.
Yep,
And the 25-foot buffer is the no disturb, not the 50-foot.
that's correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That's helpful to understand. Thank you.
Okay, so number 2 here, this basically just says that they want as-built drawings, which would be a condition of approval. Let me see. Okay. And then number 3, proposed conditions show an increase in volume of runoff towards the property to the east, as well as increase in peak flow. Bylaw, the storm bylaw requires no increase, revised proposed plans to meet that requirement. So that has been done. Rich made adjustments in the stormwater report, has been reviewed by the town engineer, and he's satisfied. Then these are just invert elevations on the catch basins and the manholes that needed to be done on Salem Street or closest to Salem Street. So the plans were updated in that regard. This is I think what you talked about, which I was going to get to on number 5 with the lining that it can't infiltrate into the ground. the impervious barrier. So that's SWMA 4P that you talked about. So that comment has been addressed. And then the town engineer wanted some recharge calculations in the stormwater report for SWMA 4P. And our response one has been noted that the recharge calculation does not apply as it will be lined. So they just want to make sure we weren't taking credit for that, right, Rich?
Correct.
So that comment was addressed. Number 8 is just a condition that we would entertain that they're recommending for as-built submittals. Again, you know, they kind of want submittals of as-built as the project gets constructed, so nothing gets missed. Again, number 9 is really, again, final as-built. So you can see they really want their as-built plans, which we're fine with. Number 10, they want an environmental monitor throughout the project, which is standard for a project of this size that the developer would pay for, which we're fine with. Number 11, they were concerned because of the proximity of the underground infiltration to our building, that it could cause some problems in the basement. So we added that the foundations will be constructed with enhanced waterproofing, and they were satisfied with that.
And with regards, what is it, a below grade basement? Or like, what's that construction look like?
Rich?
Yeah, that is it's a full basement. So the front is buried, but the back is open. In other words, you walk out the basement to the basement grade, but the front is buried, so we'll provide extra waterproofing just on the front. The garages aren't an issue. Most of it is garage in the front, because the garage there's no basement below the garage. So it's the areas between the garages that are the issue.
Rich, can you talk about number 12 on the mounding, what they required and what you did? Up on the screen.
Yeah, just because the bottom of the systems that they speak of and that were within 4 feet, we just analyzed the infiltration, and the program shows what the additional height on the groundwater is, and just make sure that you're not up into the system. Make sure your model works, and we were able to provide that data. It shows that the system will function as designed.
And finally, traffic, they recommend that we make a $5,000 contribution towards townwide signal improvements in infrastructure, which we're fine with. That's a pretty standard TAC request. That would be a condition. So we're at the point now that, you know, the town engineer has reviewed and issued a memo. I do want to say, as you know, our neighbors on Nablus Way, I've been working with your attorney, Kevin Geeney, who's been very, you know, have a great working relationship with Kevin. So they're still in the process of reviewing this on their end. And they just need some more time. And we expect, after talking to Kevin today, that both engineers will speak before the end of the week. And hopefully we believe, you know, we've hopefully addressed their concerns. If not, we remain open to continue the efforts to do that. But they're still in the process of reviewing, and I've talked to Kevin about that in detail this morning. So we're obviously, you know, certainly we're not in a position to close this out at this point because we're going back to the zoning board and we're still dealing with the Conservation Commission as well. But I think, you know, with these comments being addressed by the town engineer, I think it certainly takes us a step closer to bringing this to conclusion. You're on mute, Mr. Chair.
And can you remind me, I believe that all of the conditions that the waivers rather, that this board would have to grant are all waivers that we've discussed and more or less have talked through previously. The biggest one, there's a bunch of, I'll say, clerical ones related to the formatting, and the specific datums that are being used. But the ones that are more substantive in nature are the right of way with which we've talked about and come to a consensus that was being proposed. The 40 in lieu of the 50 feet is acceptable. The width of the street itself for the pavement, and then the grass buffer zones. And I don't rereading this list, I believe that these are all items that we've discussed in the previously, correct?
Yeah, we went through those in detail.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'd like to open up to any members of the planning board if there's any other comments, current concerns, questions you have for the applicant. Mr. Spalding.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney McGrail. If you could pull up the landscape plan.
Sure.
again. I just want to look at the lot number 3, the trash. Just to go over, refresh our memory, how is that going to work for private? Will there be a location for a dumpster, or will they have their own trash receptacles and a private company comes to pick them up?
So they got, the answer is they're gonna have a private company. They'll have their own receptacles in their garages.
So there won't be a dumpster area or anything like that?
No, nope.
Okay. The second question, snow storage. Is it located on the plan or any other?
Yeah, Rich, what's the best plan for that, Rich? I can bring up any one you want.
Bear with me for 1 second.
Or do you want to bring it up? It's up to you. I'm on my fingertip.
And I appreciate the work on the lighting. That's going to make such a difference.
So I don't think that we show snow storage on the plans for the planning board because the ZBA plans show it, but I can show you where the
Okay.
locations are.
You want to bring up
that's-
the ZBA plan, Rich?
Or you could show on the landscape plan. That's fine.
I've got them on my sheet, so
Go ahead. You can bring it up, Rich, if you could.
can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yes.
So for the roadway, it'll be a typical snow storage. It'll be stored on the side of the road, except for where the driveways are. We've got lots of room between driveways and along the circle to store that. A little more of a challenge inside the inside lot 3. We've got some space on the side of the driveway and space on all these islands between the units. So there'll be storage there, and there's also storage along, next to unit 4 and then along the driveway in the front of unit 5.
Mhm.
And we also are going to have a provision in the homeowners association operation and maintenance that if they run out of space, it's going to be taken off site.
That's good to hear. I'm most concerned between unit 4 and 5. I think we had talked before that this would be the area where a lot of the snow would be kept. And there is that retaining wall so close by. Yeah, just a concern. And with north, especially with unit 5, if it's pushed there on the north side of that, it's not going to get any sun. It's going to be there for a long time. So just a couple concerns about the storage of snow. If you pan up a little bit to the western part, okay. So this is, if we look at along there, the concrete retaining wall A is like right up against the road. Well, you have like 4 or 5 feet there.
There's like 5 or 6 feet there.
Okay, so there is some room, and there's no sidewalk there, so it can be pushed
Right.
along there and banked. Okay.
It can be pushed and banked, and we have a parapet there, so it's going to prevent the snow from being pushed over the wall.
Okay.
And the same thing goes with down here. And there's a parapet there, so they're going to be first of all, be given clear instructions about what, where to place the snow, but, those parapets will help from being, pushing into places where it shouldn't be.
Excellent. And has the Conservation Commission had any concern, have any concern over the use of road salt in this area, or has that come up?
They haven't said that, but we did talk about snow storage.
Okay. Because as that melts, it seems like it's just going to go into that buffer zone, and especially on the eastern side where the buffer is right there, the 25-foot buffer.
Yeah, most of the melting will end up going into the catch basins.
Okay.
It's really all graded so that it will go into these catch basins and into the infiltration system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. Thanks for pointing all this out. Yeah, it will get important in a few, as you know.
Yep.
Just a minor point to that, like, there's gonna be a lot of planting on the little, the little spaces in between the units, right? So those really can't take snow storage.
Yeah, we've talked about that with the landscape architect, that those plantings will be tolerant of snow storage.
And can you remind us how this will be segregated in terms of an ownership structure and how that relates to the stormwater maintenance plan or the maintenance plan rather that's outlined in the stormwater management plan?
Yeah, so the way I envision this, similar was done, if you remember the old Ox site on Albion Street. That there will be a homeowners association where all 4 lots belong to. And they will deal with maintenance on a global perspective for the whole site. So lot 1, 2, and 4, those owners will be members, as will the condo association on lot 3. And then the condo association on lot 3 will also deal with the maintenance on their lot specifically.
Because as I recall, in terms of stormwater management, there's not a lot of maintenance that is formalized, for lack of a better term, related to lots 1, 2, and 4. It's really all the systems that are contained on lot 3 that are more
Yeah,
special.
but the ones on 1, 2, and 4 are utilizing it to a certain degree because it comes off of the street.
Gotcha. Are lots 1, 2, and 4 a party to the maintenance of that then?
They will, that's my plan,
Gotcha.
that they'd be part of the HOA.
So the HOA would be in charge of all the maintenance of all the stormwater management tools as
Correct.
part of the subdivision itself. Okay.
Yep. Because if that has to be if that has to be maintained, it's not fair to just put it on the condominium because everybody's utilizing it.
Gotcha. And then that's also inclusive of the stormwater tanks that are on lot that are specifically servicing lots 1, 2, and
Correct.
4 too, right? Because you can see it right on the screen, right underneath the proposed house. There's underground storage tanks there, right?
On which lot?
Which lot? The one that's like basically planned south of Timberwood Circle. Like the text.
Let me see, hold on. What? The one with one of the houses on, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, those infiltration systems are just for their roof runoff, right, Rich?
Yeah, lots 1, 2, and 4 have each roof will be collected and put into a subsurface infiltration system.
Yeah.
So
So
those
they
are the
res-
systems. I don't know if that's the question you're answering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
is that require maintenance and who owns that?
That's gonna be each lot, those lots individually.
Gotcha. So the each of the 1, 2, and 4, they have their specific maintenance of the tank for their roofs, and that's their responsibility.
Correct.
Separately, the larger infrastructure that's underneath the lot 3 scope, that is the collective responsibility of the HOA. that
Correct.
each of the 4 lots are party to.
Correct.
Okay.
about, back to the cul-de-sac. Within the HOA, how are the voting rights distributed? Or like,
Hey Theo, it's really difficult to hear you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I got distracted. Within the HOA governing the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
How are the voting rights distributed, or is that?
We'll do,
I bet.
we'll figure out the percentages. You know,
Okay.
just like you would on a condominium. So
So, yeah.
each property will get each, you know, so a couple of these are gonna be two-family homes, so,
Yeah.
so each of them would be a member of the HOA.
Each family.
Yeah, so, let me take a step back. If on these, as an example, lot 4 will have 2 units. That will be a condominium lot. That will be its own condominium.
Yeah.
And that condominium will be a member of the HOA.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And this is a single family house, so that will only be one person that'll be a member of the
Yep.
HOA.
Yep.
And we'll give percentage interest in the HOA to each of them. We'll figure that out proportionally, and that's what their contribution will have to be.
Yeah.
Obviously,
And
larger contribution will come from lot 3.
yeah, and I mean, it's the 13 owners of lot 3 are not individual members of the HOA. The condominium of lot 3 is a member of the road.
Correct. It's only 8 units. It was 13, but
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I was thinking the whole site.
I didn't want to cause panic.
Yeah. No,
So
I meant it.
that condominium development will be a member of the HOA. Correct.
But
Yeah.
would it make sense for like lots 1, 2, and 4 to all be members of the same HOA, and then lot 3 to be members of the same HOA? Because I can just see with like there being drainage concerns and I in my experience with 2-unit condominiums, most of the time all they do is split insurance. They're not maintaining anything. So if there's more units that are part of the HOA, there might be a greater chance that they're actually going to maintain, the drainage systems and everything else that's in place.
So it's going to be an obligation of the development to maintain
Okay.
the drainage. And basically, they all have to be members of that. And I've done this before, and if they don't pay when they have to, it becomes that they'll be responsible and liable to the HOA itself for the collection of that money and the payment of that money.
But if it's just, I mean, my concern is if it's just 2 units, if there's maintenance of plantings, maintenance of drainage, I get what you're saying. It's just, I feel like it's going to be more likely to be done if it's more units. Like, I mean, to me, just looking at it, I think it makes sense for all of these units to be part of the same HOA. But in lieu of that, at least have like the front lots grouped together and then the back lot grouped together. Because otherwise it's just not going to look very uniform. When you drive in, it's going to be however that 2-unit or the single family feels like maintaining their yard.
I got to talk to Nick about this because, one of the things we're contemplating is part of the maintenance will be for landscaping for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So each of them have to contribute to it.
So, but if it's a 2-unit, I mean, yeah,
They're
in
gonna
theory, you
contribute.
can have that as part of their docs, but then it's really just however the 2 owners decide to split it.
No, because that condominium, this lot 4 is gonna be a condominium. They're gonna be part of an HOA that they have to make a financial contribution on a monthly basis for
But
maintenance.
if it's just the 2 units, I mean, in my experience, like with working with a lot of these condos, it can be in the docs all day long, but there's no real obligation unless both unit owners agree to do that.
No, the leverage is gonna be the HOA as a whole is gonna say, pay your fee or we're gonna lien your house.
Yeah.
So
That's
is an overarching HOA for all of the units?
yes.
Okay.
That's the
So they're-
point, Kristen.
Okay, all
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So they're all part of the same HOA.
They're all part of the same HOA.
Okay, all right,
Correct.
that makes more sense.
And
Okay.
there's no way out. And that's why I want to do it that way, because you're right.
Okay.
Otherwise it'll be organized chaos.
Okay, so so all 13 will be part of the same HOA. All right, perfect.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, but but not to belabor the point. If you're an owner of a two-family, you're in your two-family HOA, and then you're in the master HOA.
Correct.
And you're in the master HOA as lot 4.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So basically, you know, this would be, for example, this would be lot 4 condominium.
Yeah.
Right? 2 units. Lot 4 condominium association is a member of the HOA.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense.
And they have to have their own separate condominium, otherwise they won't be able to divide ownership of their units. And they have to have that, as you mentioned, Kristen, to maintain their own homeowners insurance
Okay.
On their property.
Okay,
But
perfect.
but that association is gonna have to contribute to the, you know, the mother association, if you will.
Okay. I wasn't aware there was going to be like so that makes total sense to me. And I think that's a great plan.
I've done this before on a number of projects. It really works well. It does.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you've probably seen how it can work when it's, you know, a bunch of 2-unit, you know, it's just,
Yeah,
it
maybe
is
quick ones,
organized chaos or unorganized chaos.
Yeah. We're not gonna let that happen.
All right, perfect.
Any other members of the board have anything else that they wanted to bring up?
That would have been good to know.
I do have one other question. Protecting the abutters tree line. How,
Yes. Yeah.
how are we doing that?
Over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
so
both
that-
sides, actually, because there's.
Yeah, so we've got a limit of work line, and you know, we're in direct contact with the abutters, and as a matter of fact, I don't think Mr. Smith is on tonight, but Ed Smith, who owns the property, I think it's 168. He's been on a number of these meetings. Really nice guy. He was kind enough to invite us over last week, and we walked the property with him. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna delineate that line. He already had it surveyed. He had his line surveyed, which was really helpful. And he gave us a survey plan. So we're gonna mark that out, and we're gonna walk it with our contractor and our tree people before anything is done. We discussed that with him, had a great meeting with him. And he actually said perhaps there's some trees on his property he wants taken down. So we're gonna work that out with him.
Okay. All right. We have an unfortunate situation where we thought there was a right to work line and a tree protection plan, and that has failed and created a sour situation. So that's the reason for my asking.
The other thing that
in-
we
in
talked
that
about, Mr.
situation.
Smith, our house, Rich, can you show yeah, so our house here, existing house actually encroaches on his property.
Yeah.
So we're obviously gonna move that off and get it way away from his house, which I think he's pretty pleased with after we met with him.
Yeah. You're getting rid of it.
It's right up against him.
Okay. Thank you.
And we're gonna work on an extensive O&M plan with the zoning board. They require that. And you know, you had talked about snow storage and removal, and that's gonna be part of it. That's a concern of the folks on Nablus Way. Tom Swanson has mentioned that, and we understand it because they don't want snow dumped over the wall into the drainage swale that could impact them. So I talked to Attorney Gini today, and him and I, you know, I'm gonna have him, you know, we're gonna work on that together to make sure that that's pretty beefed up to afford some protection there.
Okay, so I think any other members of the planning board have anything else they want to talk about?
No.
So I will open it up to any members of the public who wish to have any comments or concerns or questions. As a reminder, this is related to the subdivision itself and the planning board's role as a body to adjudicate the subdivision of the land itself. We're not here to talk about architecture or any of those other items that are being handled by the ZBA via the special permit process. But if you do wish to speak, feel free to raise your hand via Zoom, turn on your camera if you have the ability to do so, and then make sure you state your name as well as your address before starting to give public comment. So at this time, if anyone wishes to be a public comment, feel free to do so. I see Tom Swanson. Tom, if you have the ability
Okay.
to. Oh,
I just took it off speaker. Yeah, I want to thank Brian. We have worked with him, and I just wanted to check,
oh,
Brian, did
Tom,
you?
before you continue, just
Yes.
your address.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom Swanson, 7 Pevwell Drive, Saugus. And I'm the engineer construction manager for Mr. Abuzara of the Nablus property. We had Hayes Engineering do some elevations, and I just want to check with Brian and Rich and see if they got them. Their elevations on our property, just as a good comparison associated with the swale. Did you happen to get those?
I believe that's
Received anything?
You didn't receive, I thought Mr.
Who
Gainey.
was sending it?
I think Mr. Gainey transmitted it, at least to the town engineer, but what it was relative elevation, well, elevations associated with our property adjacent to the swale, just to give a comparison. And that, some of those elevations in that area are only like 2 feet above the, I believe it's 61.5 elevation for the drainage for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
swale.
you're a couple feet above, and we're not expecting any more than like an inch in the swale, so it'll be about 2 feet below any water that's happening there.
Okay. Yeah, the prime concern there is if snow got
hey,
pushed over.
I want to interject. The intent is to provide public comment related to the meeting and not have a technical discussion amongst neighboring projects. Is there anything in particular you want to provide comment on for consideration of the board?
No, just that we did incorporate that plan, and if we get together with the engineer and Mr. McGrail, that'd be great, and we can incorporate that with our other review.
Okay. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah,
Any
and just for you, Mr. Chair, if I could quickly to Tom. Tom, I did get them and I just sent them to Rich.
Oh, great, thank you.
Kevin did send them to me.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to have any other public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, I will pivot to discussing next steps. So, Mr. McGrail, I think I heard you say earlier that the intent is to go back to the ZBA with some additional revisions, circle back up with the abutting engineers at Tom Swanson apparently one more time, and then you would anticipate that you'd want to have a continuance and then potentially have the board take a vote on the project at a future date.
Correct. Yeah.
So with regards to a future date, right now, if I'm looking at my calendar, our next regularly scheduled meeting would be November 25th. Is that work from your perspective?
Yeah, the next meeting will be, that's fine. I mean, we want the next meeting. So if that's the next meeting, that would be good. And
Okay. And then should we have a conversation now or at that meeting regarding conditions?
I would respectfully request that the board allow me to start drafting some conditions, draft form to get to you that you can contemplate.
I think that'd be a great first step. If you want to draft a series of conditions, then we can
Yeah.
review them, and then maybe at the 25th we could talk about the board's opinion of them, and then depending on if you're ready, we could either take a vote at that meeting or the one thereafter.
That'd be great. You know, what I've done in the past is, you know, this is for your planning board, and I think maybe Mr. Spalding's been on the board in the past, but it's almost, you know, I could do it almost in the form of a draft, you know, just a draft decision that would incorporate waivers, put everything in there just to kind of button it up for your consideration.
Yeah.
Just what it does is it references the proper plan dates, the last revisions, and it just starts kind of organizing things for the board.
I think that'd be a great first step if you want to take it, and then we'll pick it up from there. And then,
Yes.
We'll have those other conversations regarding anything else that we either disagree or would like to see added or etc. But we can take it if you want to take a first pass. We can pick it up and push the ball forward from there.
Just put it in the format for you to work with. That's
Yep.
all.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So in that case, I believe we need to take a vote as a group to continue this meeting to the next or to the November 25th, 2025 planning board meeting. Does anyone from the planning board have any objections to anything that was just discussed or next steps?
Sounds good. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we continue this meeting to the next regularly scheduled planning board meeting on November 25th.
I'll second.
So motion by Theo to continue the meeting, seconded by Bill. Roll call vote. Kristen?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Theo?
Yes.
Myself, yes, as well. Meeting is continued to November 25th. We will see you at that meeting, and good luck with the other meetings that you guys have scheduled as part of this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other items related to item number 4, the 120 or 154, 158 Salem Street subdivision? Mr. Spalding. Nope.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just checking on our notes. I think we have it extended until 31st.
December 31st.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to check in. Attorney McGrail, does that seem on target?
Yeah, I mean, what will, I mean, the decision has to get done, so we'll probably just extend it one more time. I just don't like stuff through the holidays and,
Right, that's what I was thinking too.
Deadline, any deadline on December 31st is an accident waiting to happen for everybody. So, I think at the next meeting, Mr. Chair, we should just put that in the docket to deal with another extension just as a belt and suspender.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Instead of doing it tonight, I think we got 2 months, so.
Right.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Anything else on this item before we move on? So in that case, I'll move on to item number 5, revisions to street renaming bylaw. So that for this one, I will pivot to Marissa.
Hi, everyone. So I sent you all on Friday the first draft of the edits to the street renaming bylaw. I will just pull it up on my screen really quickly. And the reason why we're taking a look at this was because we had our first street renaming public hearing back in September. For Edgewater Place, there was some confusion as to what the official name of that street was. Our GIS said one thing, the Postal Service had it as something else. So the board voted to approve its renaming to Edgewater Place Drive. You voted favorable action for taking by the town council, which they ultimately did. In that process, there were some questions that were brought up about the fees incurred throughout the application process and whether or not we should be, given that the town is a public body, whether or not we should be holding the town accountable for any fees as well. So I took a look at the language and I noted in my email what is there. I think that spells out very clearly how applications handled by the town should be treated, and then maybe some suggested edits if we do see some holes in the language that we could tighten up a little bit. So I'm just going to share it here. Highlighted here in yellow. Section B, application process, it clearly states the filing fee shall not apply to any change proposed by a public body of the town. And then further down, and I'll get to the multifamily properties in a second, but the other portion that I highlighted was if the actual cost of notice exceeds the fee previously paid, the town clerk shall demand payment of the difference in advance before the planning board commences any mailing with respect to proposals not made by public bodies of the town. So again, that's the language that's already there. And then what I added in section D, action by town council, where's the sentence start? If the town council approves the name change, in addition to notifying the applicant and the town clerk, it shall request payment from the applicant who is not a public body of the town to cover the cost of changing and installing all applicable signage. Again, just to keep consistency, make sure that we distinguish that any fees that are incurred as a result of the application process or any work associated with the street renaming are only applied to private entities and not public bodies of the town. Again, get to multifamily properties in a second, but while we're on the topic of fees, I just wanted to see how you guys feel about this language. If you have any other questions or if there were any concerns that I might have missed from that last meeting that you want to bring up again about this.
Any members of the planning board have any comments, concerns, questions?
I thank you. I think these make sense.
Cool. Bill, I think I saw your
Yeah.
hand go up.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think it's just what it needs. And yeah, I'm in favor of these updates, changes. It's it seems to clarify the issue we just experienced and possibly anything we run into down the road. So I like it.
Awesome. Cool.
Thanks.
And then just the last piece of language that I think might be worth omitting.
Mhm.
It says here, notice of the public hearing shall also be posted on multifamily properties and on the town town's website. That's a given, but it doesn't. So because I was reading this language for the first time, I didn't know if multifamily properties here, the way it's written, it sounds like every single multifamily property in town should be notified. Willing to bet that there are thousands of those. And I imagine that's a very hard thing to do. And probably that would be, if it was a private entity, requesting a street name change, that would be a huge noticing fee to incur. The amount of postcards or notices that would have to go out. So I don't know what the intent of putting this language in here. There is obviously language in there that says all abutters on the way, all properties along that street, they will all get notice. That's a given. But I was just curious as to where this multifamily properties language came from. If you guys know anything more than I might.
I do, and I can share. So I look back in my
okay.
notes and we were concerned that property owners are not the same as renters. So if there's multifamily or renters that are along that street, or if there's a multifamily property on that street that would be renamed, that the renters might not be notified.
Got it. But that would just be for multifamily properties on that way, right?
Yeah,
And
I look
abutting.
back in my notes, and funny, I don't have it written the same way it's written here. But it was really about trying to protect the renters who might,
Sure.
right. So because of all the changes with address and utilities and everything else that would go along with it. So
typically when I back when I was working in Swampscott, and it was my responsibility to send out public hearing notices for the planning and zoning boards. A lot of times when we did have neighborhoods where there were really high rental rates, I literally put resident and then the address, and that usually made its way that way it made its way to the front door of the address in question, and then I would notify the property owner on top of that, whose information I would pull from the assessor's database, but and I would be able to tell if it was a rental. or typically I would let me put it this way. If it was a multifamily property, I at least assume that one of the units was a rental.
Right.
And if when pulling the data from the assessor's database, the way our Assess Pro system had it, when the labels were printed, you could see the property owner's address on top. And so if it differed from the mailing address, if their mailing address differed from the property that they owned in Swampscott, then I would assume that it was being rented out to somebody else. So, to save any confusion, I would notify the property owner at their mailing address that's listed on the assessor's database, and then write resident and mail it to the local address in Swampscott as well. So,
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So I can, for a second draft, I can go ahead and incorporate tighter language to make sure that renters are being captured in the notice hearing as well, and then we can take a second look at it too.
Yeah, I think
This certainly isn't going to go for fall for
yeah,
our
I think the
upcoming
biggest thing
town
is
meeting. So
maybe just saying notice of hearing should be posted on multifamily properties on affected street, or subject to change, something to that effect. Because really, the intent is it's the building that would be impacted by the street address change, and not for the entirety of the town.
right.
I like what you did by crossing out multifamily properties and on. I don't think we need to do much more, because at the very top of C, the planning board shall conduct a public hearing on the application for a street name change within 60 days after receiving the application, and the list of abutting owners, residents, and businesses from the town clerk. So I feel like that first sentence covers, Marissa, what you were just explaining. And by striking out multifamily properties and on works really well.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, because the
On the
language
town website.
distinguishes owners from residents. So
Right. So they'll be notified, but then it's also going to be posted on the town website and sent to the,
Right.
yeah. I think that works well.
okay.
If it's a 10-unit rental, are you sending letters to 10 residents, or like do they appear on the assessor's list to be able to notify?
No, so what would appear, in my past experience, sometimes it required a little bit of digging, because if it was, let's say, somebody owned a 10-unit building, I didn't necessarily know from the assessor's database if it was how many units were in that building, if they were rental units. If they were condo units, it was easy to tell because they all had different parcel ID numbers. But so a lot of times, I mean, just being in the planning office, I knew what the composition of a lot of the multifamily buildings were just from, just through osmosis, I guess. So if I knew that there were 10 units in a particular building, I would say resident, address and unit number, whatever, and make sure that all 10 units were included. So to send out 10 individual notices to the 10 residents comprising those units.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you think you have enough, and correct me wrong, I think those are the two main sources of comments, right? It was the fee, the public body, and that one multifamily. Is there anything else that you wanted to highlight in terms of the proposed changes?
Who, me? Sorry, or Bill?
Yeah, yep. No, sorry, that's directed to you, Marissa.
No, that was it.
Okay. I think, I think any other members of the planning board have any other comments, concerns, or questions? I feel like that we've given sufficient direction for Marissa to make a couple of revisions and then come back. Okay. In that case, yeah, so you wanted to make those revisions, and then we can probably angle for this to be a spring town meeting, because I think we have to go to town meeting for this, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That sounds like a plan. Anything else on that before I move on to the next item on our agenda? Okay, so item number 6, November and December meeting schedule. So I believe that this got put on just because we have a couple idiosyncratic items, but our next regularly scheduled meeting would be the November 11th. However, that's Veterans Day. So my understanding is that there will be there cannot be a meeting on that day. So our next regularly scheduled meeting would therefore kick out to November 25th, which is 2 days before Thanksgiving. So I'm guessing it got added here because I wanted to double check to see if people had availability, given the holiday, to have a planning board meeting on that day. Mr. Spalding.
This is the Wakefield football game is at Fenway Park. And honestly, I'm not going for the football game. My son's in the marching band, so I'm in the pit crew. So I'll be pushing out equipment onto the field. So I don't know if I'll make it for 7 o'clock. I might. It might be close.
Do other members of the board have a conflict? I also just realized that we just voted to continue the public hearing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that if we moved it to the 18th, that the applicant wouldn't fight us on that.
I don't know that you could move it up. That might be an OML conflict. I think you could move it beyond the 25th, but you wouldn't be able to move it up.
Why couldn't we move it forward while we're in the same meeting right now?
I think you might have to reopen the public hearing and the applicant would have to be present.
Gotcha.
Which would push it to, I mean, was it the 9th of December?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And then on that note, the 4th Tuesday of December is is the day before Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Kristen and Theo, do you have availability on the 25th, or are you going to be
I'll be around.
Yeah, I'm available too.
I'm not traveling.
okay? So if that's the case, then what I would propose, maybe hold the 25th, and then we'll see if we can close up the subdivision, or sorry, hold the subdivision, and then hopefully try to limit the rest of that agenda to be the least possible, and then tentatively plan on canceling the 12/23 meeting unless others feel strongly, and then hold the December 9th as currently scheduled.
I agree with that. In the past,
Yeah.
we have scheduled a special meeting the week before the holiday period if we need to.
Yeah.
And that only if we need to, but
And I think that in this case, you can do that the week before, right? So long as there's no public meeting that would require the advance notice.
I think we still have to have Susan, what's the
You just have to
agenda?
post a meeting for
Yeah.
48 hours before it's gonna
Yeah.
happen, so you
Yeah.
could have one whenever.
We can make the decision on the 9th though for the 16th if we had to. It's guessing.
Yes. Yes, it would just have to be posted by the 11th.
Okay. So why don't we plan on canceling the 23rd of December, holding it the November 25th, and then the December 9th for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. and
Okay.
Brian's not still on here, right? No,
No.
No,
he didn't come back on.
no.
Okay.
You want me to text him? Should it?
I sent him an email,
Okay.
but I don't think he's on.
Okay. Okay, so then in that case, I'm gonna move on to item number 7, items not anticipated by the chair. The one thing I wanted to relay to the board as a follow-up to the letter that we issued to the Conservation Commission is I understand that they have elected to postpone the submission of the stormwater wetland bylaw from the fall town meeting to spring. So Marissa, I don't know if there's any other color besides just that singular update that we need to discuss as a board.
That's pretty much it. I think that they're gonna look to put it before the town at the spring town meeting. So they are still actively working as a commission to make changes or draft language for a local wetlands bylaw. They meet on the off Tuesdays that we do, so they're the first and third Tuesday of every month, and they are having group working sessions in a public meeting to continue to draft the language for this bylaw.
Okay. Any other members of the board have any other items not anticipated by the chair?
I do not.
Marissa, do you have any items not anticipated by the chair?
I'm trying to think. Let's see. I was at a conference in Boston today, a transportation event. That was a lot of fun. What else? Aaron and I continue to work on the master plan. It's a lot of work. If any of you guys are interested in taking a look at some of the sections that we've completed, just so we can have a third set of eyes, well, let me know. Would be happy to send you what we have done so far. Again, I think when we meet our midway point, which keeps getting pushed further and further out, as things get busy, the intent is to loop back in with the advisory group just to let them know where we stand as well and have them take a look at the edits that we've done thus far. We are working, our office is working right now with our neighboring communities of Reading, Woburn, and Burlington to submit a grant application to MassDOT in hopes of securing funding for launching a microtransit
Right.
pilot. There's a last mile transit grant that's available through MassDOT and a regional application. It turns out that we all were considering as municipalities applying for it individually, and then at our last MAPC sub-council meeting, we decided that, you know, going in as a region would give us a stronger chance. So Woburn is leading the application, but we are working on collecting all of the supplemental materials that we need on our end. And the grant application is due November 7th. We have a soft deadline for ourselves this Friday, the 31st, just so we can take the next week to make sure that everything looks up to snuff, and then that way we have a good comprehensive application package to put forward to MassDOT. So it would be really exciting if we could secure that funding. Obviously, you know, we would still have to go through procurement, and award a contract to a vehicle provider or service provider. But it would be really cool. We're hoping to model it more or less off of what Stoneham already has in place. So that's the big project that we have going on right now. 197, 199 to Haunt Street. We talked about this at our last meeting a couple weeks ago, the tree. So the resident, one of the abutters, did reach out to me, said that the tree was removed over the weekend. Thanked me for his help. And I was chatting with Bill, our town engineer, about it. And I don't know if his email was sent to all of you. If not, I will forward it. Maybe this is something that, you know, as we work to approve the 154, 158 Salem subdivision, Bill has had experience in crafting one-off tree policies or conditions for enforcement in subdivision approvals. And there are ways to enforce the preservation of a tree. According to him, it's not something that I have ever had experience with. But if that's something that you guys are interested in, then maybe we could invite Bill to our next meeting, or I can have him send a memo beyond what he has already written to us via email about maybe send some examples of what he has done in the past to take a look at, if that's something that you are interested in.
I think that sounds like would be something that we'd be interested in maybe soliciting a couple examples of it, and then we can take a look at it as a group.
Great, yeah. I'll definitely loop back in with him.
Okay. Any other questions as it relates to any of the items that Marissa just mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excited for the last mile transit grant application.
I hope I'm excited for it too. It would be really, really cool. It would be a 2-year pilot. I think the intent, the ultimate strategy, would be to have on-demand service within our own municipalities, and then have fixed routes that would connect our municipalities. So think of some of like the commercial or medical hubs in our area, like the Burlington Mall or the Leahy Clinic. And so having fixed routes from our communities to those centers. That's what we're hoping it would look like. So,
Yeah.
and it would be free for riders.
That's exciting. That's awesome. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone else have any other items not anticipated before we start talking about adjournment? Okay. In that case, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Kristen, second by Bill. Roll call vote. Theo,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
and myself, yes as well. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.